Where I first heard about fivefold gifting was at immersion, and Mark and Izzy were both talking to us about just spiritual gifts and things like that. And we took a test that picked out your top 2 spiritual gifts, and my top one was evangelism. And I didn't really know what evangelism was. Izzy just kind of took the time to explain to me individually what that was.
I was aware of a pastor, a teacher, an evangelist, but I was not aware of a prophet or an apostle yet until about 10 years ago. That was when I understood that there were 5 ministries that God gave to the church.
I grew up in a church that didn't have any background in that kind of thing at all, prophecy or anything like that. So when I first started to feel like, oh, I'm hearing from God about this or that, and especially when He called me on a journey with someone, and I felt like I was hearing what His will was for this person. It was really, really a struggle for me because I didn't know how to believe it, how to embrace it.
The test we took was online. It's called Fivefold Ministries. It's about 85 questions or so. It was really interesting to see kind of what my tendencies were towards, mine tend towards prophet and apostle.
Definitely growing up, it was more of a struggle because I wasn't quite as outgoing in middle school and was nervous to go start random conversations about the Lord, and so I'd find myself just not doing it and pushing Him away, and then later thinking about it and being like, oh, I should have done that. And now I'm getting a lot better at following His voice, but there's still moments where I'm like, I should have said this or I should have done that, but it's all development learning process, I guess.
Yes, it was a person who spoke to me that he found that gifting in me. That was 14, 15 years ago when this happened. The first time when this pastor talked to me and he said that I have the gift of evangelist, I was unaware of this, that I did have this with me. I was very, very shy. And I understand now that what God uses, He uses our weakness and He makes us strong.
So I feel like others did help me to start to see that. So I think, in your community, as people start to, say, I think, I see this gift in you and kind of call it out in you. It's just helpful to get your information from people that you can trust. People people you're in community with. You've got to test everything, I think, through people that you know and respect, and you can see their life and know they're walking with God.
But it is something you have to learn, and that's part of the test and approve process. You filter through Scripture, you filter through someone who's ahead of you in this journey. Definitely talk to a mentor, talk to a youth leader. Especially for the prophetic gifting, it's very important that you spend a lot of time in prayer and alone time with God, praying on your knees before God, and really stay in tune with what He's saying to you, always be listening for that. That's the hardest part for me, to set aside part of my day without any distractions so I can just listen.
One of the things that I put in practice is to be wise in what I do, not to be driven by my emotions and go there because I see someone, I just go out there and talk to them. I'm just waiting till God leads the conversation or God opens the opportunity. And this is what I learned, to recognize when God is working, and all I have to do is join the work and He will do the rest.
It's just little things where the Lord is prompting you a little more than most people, or will show you things that some people don't really realize, because I feel the Lord prompting me to do things, and I'll feel a great responsibility from that, just because I know that person may never hear about the Lord again. If I see them and I'm prompted to say something, who knows what could happen the next day.
I mean, these gifts, it's never changed. The Lord gave the gifts to the church, but for a long time they weren't accepted, and so, they you didn't see them manifested maybe, or talked about or taught about, and so I think we're kind of finding our way then.
I encourage to everybody to develop and discover the gifts, because the gifts are for everybody. It's just sometimes it's just sitting in there waiting for those to be open. It's just, imagine Christmas, you look at the gifts under the tree, you want a gift, you see the gift for days, for weeks, and when you were a child, it's the same thing as now. God's had the gifts, it's in front of us, it's all ready for us to come over and start to open it, experience it. And like in any other exercise, if you don't exercise what is given to you, you're not going to develop it.